Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Don-MacLaughlin, mandel-Kramer with crime drama, an episode of Counterspy from 73 years ago, October 18th, 1949, and the case of the Photograph Furrier. We thank you for tuning in on this Tuesday, 18th day of October, 291st day of the year, 74 days remaining until we get to 2023. Moby Dick first published as The Whale on this date in 1851. U.S. took possession of Alaska on this date in 1867 from Russia, celebrated on this date as Alaska Day. The price paid at the time was $7.2 million. Today it would be over $144 million, and a bargain at half the price. U.S. took possession of Puerto Rico on this date in 1898. British Broadcasting Corporation, founded on this date in 1922 as the British Broadcasting Company, to establish a nationwide network of radio transmitters to provide a national broadcasting service. Grand Ole Opry opened on this date in 1925. Thomas Edison passed away on this date in 1931.
What do you think of the sound pictures of today?
What I think of the talking picture.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I never heard one.
What do you think of the Einstein theory?
I don't think anything of Einstein theory because I can't understand it.
How does it feel to be 84 years old?
Well, it feels very fine to be 84 years of age. If you don't have anything the matter with you. Well, I have a little trouble now and then, but that's because I'm getting old. But I've got a lot of ginger yet.
Edison died not long after that recording was made. Complications of diabetes listed as the cause of death. He was 84. Adolf Hitler ordering the establishment of a German national militia on this date in 1944. The Soviet Union also invaded Czechoslovakia on that same date. Texas Instruments announced the first transistor radio on this date in 1954. Dr. James D. Watson of the U.S., Dr. Francis Crick, and Dr. Maurice Wilkins of Britain named winners of the Nobel Prize for Medicine and Physiology on this date in 1962 for their work in determining the double helix molecular structure of DNA. A police raid on John Lennon and Yoko Ono's flat found 168 grams of marijuana on this date in 1968. They later pled guilty, were fined $150. The artificial sweetener cyclamate banned in the U.S. on this date in 1969.
I'm today ordering that the artificial sweetener cyclamate be removed from the list of substances which are generally recognized as safe for use in foods. Recent experiments conducted on laboratory animals disclosed the presence of malignant bladder tumors after these animals had been subjected to strong dose levels of cyclamates for long periods. The findings in these experiments form the basis for my action.
October 19th.
Head of the Food and Drug Administration, Dr. Herbert L. Lay, Jr., who would be ousted from his position before the end of the year. Other artificial sweeteners such as aspartame, NutraSweet, and sucralose splenda, and the ever-popular high-fructose corn syrup are allowed today, with some ill effects, more in fact, than the mostly discredited study that banned cyclamates. With all the controversy, you're better off using real sugar or the plant extract stevia. Ironically, the U.S. is alone in the cyclamate ban. It's approved in at least 130 countries, including the U.K. In 1985, Nintendo released the Nintendo Entertainment System in the U.S. NASA astronauts Jessica Meyer and Christina Koch took part in the first all-woman spacewalk on this date in 2019, when they ventured out of the International Space Station to replace a power controller. Among others passing away on this date in history, Clarence Oddbody in It's a Wonderful Life, Henry Travers, also businesswoman Elizabeth Arden, S.S. Kresge, the businessman. Yes, there really was an S.S. Kresge. He founded not only the Five and Dime stores, but Kmart as well. Also, illustrator, animator Walt Kelly, the creator of Pogo. Also, singer and actress Julie London, actress and dancer Gwen Verdon, Dionne Warwick's sister Dee Dee Warwick, and Colin Powell, the 65th Secretary of State, all passing away on this date in history. Let's turn to the birthday list, and we see a lot today, including Chuck Berry, also Bobby Troop, Pope Pius II, actor George C. Scott, actress Inger Stevens, actor Peter Boyle, Mary Ann from Gilligan's Island. Dawn Wells was born on this date. She passed away, 2 years ago at the age of 82. Also, Laura Nero and Erin Moran, Joni from Happy Days, all born on this date in history. Laura Nero wrote such wonderful music. She also was a pretty good singer, too. Speaking of songwriters, Cynthia Weil, who wrote a lot with her husband Barry Mann, 82 years old today. From Mork and Mindy and My Sister Sam, Pam Dauber, 71. Jean-Claude Van Damme is 62. Trumpeter Wynton Marsalis is 61. From High School Musical and Hairspray, Zac Efron, 35. The oldest daughter of Sarah Palin, Bristol Palin, 32. And from MTV's Teen Wolf, Tyler Posey is 31. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 18th day of October as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say... Happy birthday to you.
Don McLaughlin, Mandel-Kramer in an episode of Counterspy from 73 years ago today, October 18th, 1949, and the case of the Photograph Furrier. That comes up next on this Tuesday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you can get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare. And that's MediShare. You get both. The typical family saves $500 a month switching to MediShare. And that's huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. It's because MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you could save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. If you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number you need. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Mandel-Kramer, Don McLaughlin, starring in Philip H. Lord's fictionalized FBI organization, Counterspy. This is from 73 years ago today, October 18th, 1949.
Pepsi-Cola, P-E-P-S-I. That's your smartest cola buy. Pepsi-Cola presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington.
United States Counterspy, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
Tonight, the case of the Photograph Furrier. Another Counterspy report to the American people. 2 a.m. A low-hanging haze clings to the surface of New York's East River. All is quiet, except for the lapping of the water against the dock, and the occasional wail of a tugboat whistle in the distance. Suddenly, the thick silence is broken by the low purr of a motorboat engine.
You see the pier number yet, Joe?
Not yet, Bugs. Keep her turning over.
Right.
That looks like the right pier, Bugs. There's a ladder at the motor. Stay with the tiller. We got enough speed to drift into position.
Okay.
That's it. Hold her steady, Bugs, against the dock.
Right, Joe. Should I tie up?
I'll climb up the ladder first to make sure it's the right pier. This is it, Bugs. Tie up and come up.
Right away. Where?
Here they are. Imported furs. Bales of them waiting to be moved, just like Lloyd said.
He sure gets the straight dope.
Yeah. Let's get them over to the edge of the pier. Then we'll lower them into the boat.
Right, I'll pick up.
The watchman. Come on, Bugs, behind this bale of furs with me.
Yeah. Drink with him, Joe.
Now, let him lay. We'll keep an eye on him.
I'll give him one more with my foot to make sure he sleeps solid.
That's enough, Bugs. Let's get to work. There's $60,000 worth of furs on this dock, and Lloyd don't want us to miss a dime's worth.
Attention all Counterspy departments. This is David Harding. Still another robbery of imported furs has been reported. These robberies are seriously impairing our trade relations with a number of friendly nations. All departments must redouble their efforts in this case. Transmit all findings to me personally, here at our New York field office. That is all.
Harding, that lead on the Bonner Fur Finishing Company.
Good.
Looks it. They finish the furs for a very smart New York fur salon. Lloyd's at Park Avenue.
Hmm?
And the samples we bought there check with the laboratory reports on the stolen furs.
You got a tail on Lloyd?
We can pick him up now if we want to.
No, Peters. We've got to make a thorough cleanup in this case. The crooks, the sellers, and the buyers.
A lot of money involved, Dave?
Well, not only the money, Peters, our trade relations with friendly countries. These robberies are leading to ill feeling and international lawsuits. That's why I want to wash this up once and for all, so there'll be no hangover.
I see.
And we'll stake out this Bonner Company. Get photographs of everyone who does business with them. We'll have agents with our new miniature cameras cover the place like a blanket.
The company's building is located in the suburbs of New York City. You want to look it over yourself and plan the stakeout?
Yes. We've got to get photographs that'll convict everyone who does business with the Bonner Company, as well as the fancy Mr. Lloyd himself.
Good morning, Adele. Joseph's expecting me.
We both are. He's in the private office.
So let's go in.
Joe, he's here.
Huh? Oh. Hello, Mr. Lloyd.
Hello, Joseph.
That's the newest fad up on Park Avenue these days, sporting a cane.
Does it annoy you?
Yeah, makes me happy. Did you get rid of the furs from that pier job?
Naturally.
For how much?
$60,000.
That's full market value.
Of course, Adele. Lloyd's of Park Avenue never cuts prices.
Fork it over, Mr. Lloyd.
I intend to. $20,000, the usual 1/3.
Not any longer, Mr. Lloyd.
What?
Adele and I have been figuring the divvy ain't right.
Oh?
We do the dirty work, heist the furs, and process them in this stinking building out here in Queens.
So?
You just sit in that fancy Park Avenue saloon of yours, peddling them to beat up biddies. Air-conditioned, no less.
What do you want, Joseph? Air conditioning?
No, 2/3.
Very funny. Now, if you'll step aside, I have to fit a patron at my salon. I don't want to be late.
You don't leave until we settle this, Mr. Lloyd.
There's nothing to settle. Step aside, Joseph.
No.
And keep your hands off me.
Easy, half-pint.
Let go.
Get down in that chair. That's better.
Joseph, you'll regret this.
Maybe you'll regret it more. Now, I wouldn't want to muss up that pretty face of yours. 2/3 for us, and we're all friends again. And stop shoving that cane in my face.
Look at it more closely, Joseph. Notice the opening in the end?
What?
Joe, it's a gun.
Bright girl, Adele. This cane is really a disguised gun.
Lloyd.
Not 3 inches from your throat, Joseph.
Take it away, Mr. Lloyd.
Back up, Joseph. That's the way. Against the wall. Now, push on this little button at the handle. Would make you a very bloody spectacle, Joseph.
Joe,
Easy, Adele. I don't want my hand to slip.
Please, Lloyd, take it away.
I will, Joseph. When you get this clear. This is my operation. I finance it. I tip you off when furs are due in. I sell them once they're stolen. You're nearly my workhorse.
Sure, Mr. Lloyd, sure.
You remember that?
Yeah, only take that thing away from my throat.
Very well. One mistake is permitted, Joseph. I'll take it away this time, particularly since I'll have work for you to do shortly.
Okay, Mr. Lloyd, you're the boss. Same setup, same split.
Bright boy, Joseph. Don't change your mind, because the next time you see the end of this cane, a bullet will be spitting out of it.
Looks bad, Dave. The Bonner Company is the only building within 4 square blocks of these vacant lots. A flea couldn't be inconspicuous out here.
Just across from the Bonner building. That newsstand right by the subway entrance.
Think we can use it?
Pull up to the stand. I'll buy a paper.
Right.
All late morning papers. Get your paper here.
Son.
All right with you, mister. What'll it be, mister?
Times and the Tribune.
Sure thing.
Dave, maybe we could set an agent to take over this stand.
It might make these fur thieves suspicious.
Chance.
Here you are, mister. Times and Tribune.
Thanks. Hey, keep the change.
Thanks.
That's a nice spot you got here. End of a subway line, end of a bus line, no competition. You been in this spot for long?
3 years.
Well, you've been in business a long time, huh? What's your name?
Eddie Sloan.
Well, good luck, Eddie. Maybe I'll be seeing you again.
Sure. I'm always here, mister. So long.
So long.
What do you read?
Let's go, Peter.
What are you thinking about, Dave? Using the kid?
Yes. From his stand, he could snap anyone who walked in or out of that building.
Looks like our best bet. He could operate the new camera all right. It's simple enough.
That's the way I feel. Find out where he lives, his family, all about him. Then bring him in the office tomorrow. If he's as bright and as able as he seems, we'll add a slightly underage counterspy to our staff.
Bonner Fur Company.
Joseph, this is Lloyd.
Oh, yes, Mr. Lloyd.
A little information.
More furs coming in?
Yes. The Bay Trading Company has a carload of furs on the way. Shipped by train across country from Seattle. They're due to arrive at the East Shore Freight Yard tonight. They won't be unloaded until morning.
Officially, that is.
Quite right, Joseph. They'll be in a refrigerated Yukon Pacific boxcar, number 6220.
6220. Got it.
Good. I'll leave it to you to make the usual arrangements.
Eddie, this is Mr. Harding.
David Harding?
That's right, Eddie.
Oh, then, Mr. Peters, you weren't conning me and my uncle. You really are counterspies.
I wasn't conning you, Eddie.
Gosh.
Sit down, Eddie.
Well, yeah, sure.
Peters, have you told Eddie and his uncle what we wanted him for?
Just a little. Eddie's uncle says the decision is up to Eddie, as long as it's safe.
That's fair enough. Eddie, what do you know about the counterspies?
Gosh, everything.
Everything?
I mean, everything that's been on the radio or in the papers. I follow every case you're on.
Oh, that's flattering.
Very.
Oh, that last case with the hijackers and those cameras. I followed it all.
And those cameras ended up being a premium, if you know what premiums were in the day. 73 years ago, October 18th, 1949, Counterspy on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The news from 73 years ago today follows these important messages. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station. We're listening to an episode of Counterspy as it was broadcast on Tuesday, October 18th, 1949. In the newspapers of that Tuesday, 73 years ago, these were some of the headlines. The AFL High Command said yesterday John L. Lewis's plan for a $2.5 million a week war chest to finance the Great Steel Strike is impossible and impractical, while union labor is split into rival camps. AFL President William Green called instead for a real merger of AFL-CIO and the United Mine Workers to mobilize their economic power. Lewis had proposed that 9 big AFL unions and his own United Mine Workers contribute $250,000 a week each to help win the steel strike being led by CIO President Philip Murray. In a polite reply to Lewis yesterday, Green disposed of the plan so far as the AFL was concerned by saying that 9 AFL unions would each have to decide such a question for itself. He said they are self-governing. Advocates of a bigger Air Force won a major victory last night as senators who had been holding out for 48 air groups gave in at last to House demands that Congress vote money for 58. The long-standing deadlock had been one of the major obstacles to early adjournment of Congress. Difficulties between the Senate and the House had blocked approval of the $15 billion bill to finance the armed services for this year. The Supreme Court yesterday upheld Judge Harold R. Medina's actions in jailing 3 red leaners for contempt during the turbulent New York trial that led to conviction of 11 top U.S. communists. High Court acted indirectly by a 7-1 vote. It refused to hear appeals by the trio. The brief order gave no reason for their decision. General Clifton B. Cates, chief of the U.S. Marines, accused the Army General Staff yesterday of seeking to whittle down his famous sea-to-shore assault corps into a mere police force. The Army, he said, has already grabbed all the money for amphibious training so that Marines will not even be able to practice their shore storming specialty this year. Senate conferees broke off negotiations with House members last night for a compromise on farm price support legislation. Whether further attempts will be made to reconcile the dispute before Congress adjourns was left up in the air. A British society photographer yesterday won the hand of his actress model, Sarah Churchill, the daughter of Britain's wartime prime minister. Miss Churchill and Anthony Beauchamp, standing in the ruins of historic Fort Fredica, told newsmen they would be married. The couple disclosed they had been secretly engaged for a week and said that the parents of each had been notified. Mark Warnow, longtime orchestra conductor of the Lucky Strike Hit Parade radio show, died of a heart attack yesterday. He was just 47. From Ireland, the Stork 1, a 4.5-pound American yesterday, born in an airliner 19,000 feet up and 400 miles out over the Atlantic. Last night, he and his 20-year-old mother, a Yugoslav-born GI bride, were getting along fine in the heart of Ireland's County Clare. The newcomer, the son of U.S. Air Force Sergeant James C. Parker of Alderson, West Virginia, and his wife, Darinka. Hero and heroine of the air delivery were the 44-year-old physician passenger Dr. Frederick Henschel of New York and the airline stewardess 29-year-old Mary Jane Hinckley of Millville, New York, who helped the new arrival into the world. Watching his father and friends bowling in a Lawrence, Massachusetts alley bored 3-year-old Frankie DeFreitas, so he wandered over to a popcorn vending machine. He reached in through the delivery chute and grabbed a handful of popcorn, but then he couldn't get his hand out. His screams brought his father and other bowlers. They tended and pulled and tugged in vain. They brought the machine with the youngster attached into a rear room and disassembled it, but Frankie's hand was still stuck. He was finally freed by a tinsmith who worked on the machine for an hour, and Frankie spent the hour munching popcorn with his free hand. Those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Tuesday, October 18th, 1949, on your radio Counterspy, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Well, I'm glad you did, Eddie. Would you like to see the new cameras we use?
You bet.
Peters, there's some cameras and packages of film in that cabinet.
Right away. Hey, ready? Take a look at it.
Boy, it's keen. You could take pictures without hardly anybody knowing you were taking them.
Well, that's just what it was designed for, Eddie. In fact, that's what we'd like you to do.
Me?
Yes, Eddie.
Gosh, me helping the counterspies. What do you want me to do, Mr.
Well,
Hardy?
not so fast, Eddie. I want to make sure you understand this might be a little dangerous.
I ain't afraid.
Well, you should be, Eddie. It's always good to be afraid. Then you'll be careful.
Oh.
Now that we've slowed down, we'll go into the details. Now, first the camera. Go ahead and pick it up, Eddie.
It's a beauty.
Mm-hmm. It's simple to operate.
You see, Eddie, it's precision designed, made to be foolproof. Because lots of times we have to use that camera under very difficult circumstances.
I see, sir.
Now, what we want you to do, Eddie, is take pictures of everyone who goes into that building opposite your newsstand.
The fur company.
That's right, Eddie. The Bonner building.
Crooks, huh?
Well, that's what we hope to prove by your pictures, Eddie.
They're fur thieves, Eddie. And the men going in will be going there to buy stolen goods.
And we want to catch the buyers as well as the actual crooks.
I'll do whatever you say, Mr. Hardy.
Good boy. Now, you won't be entirely alone.
No?
Well, I've arranged to replace the agent in the subway station change booth with one of our counterspies. From time to time, he'll come up to see whether everything's all right.
I can take care of myself.
Oh, I'm sure you can, Eddie, but we'll just play it safe. Now, you'll have to conceal the camera so it won't be obvious to anyone that you're taking pictures.
Oh, I could cover it with a newspaper.
Well, the newspaper could blow away or the camera might slip out.
That's right.
Well, how about my change box? I use a wooden box. I could get another one, cut a hole in it, and sight it through the hole.
Well, that sounds like a better idea.
And I'll take good care of the camera. I won't drop it or nothing.
Well, don't worry about that. It's very strongly built. Well, now, Eddie, when you've taken all the films on the roll, you'll remove the roll. Mr. Peters or I will come along at the end of the day, and we'll buy a newspaper. Include the rolls with the paper.
I start right away, Mr. Hardy?
Right away, Eddie.
Here's your camera, Eddie.
Gee, thanks.
And plenty of film. Now, Eddie, if you get the right pictures with this new Counterspy camera, you'll be going a long way toward helping us solve this case. In fact, everything depends on you.
The conclusion of Counterspy, October 18th, 1949, when Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues following these messages. While she had a lot of radio roles, Amanda Randolph probably best remembered as Madam Queen on the radio and television versions of Amos and Andy. And you'll hear her on tomorrow's Classic Radio Theater with an episode of the CBS Radio Workshop, playing the role of folk legend Annie Christmas in The Legend of Annie Christmas from 66 years ago. That'll be coming up on tomorrow's Classic Radio Theater. But now the conclusion of Counterspy and the case of the Photograph Furrier, as it was broadcast October 18th, 1949, 73 years ago today.
There's the entrance, Joe. The East Shore Freight Yards.
Drive right in, Bucks.
Yeah, but there's a watchman on duty. I cased.
I know. Just drive right in.
All right.
Hey, you in the truck?
The watchman.
I heard. Stop for him.
What?
Stop.
Now, just where do you fellas think you're going?
You the yard watchman?
That's right.
You're the guy I want to see. I'm from Bay Trading Company. Here's my loading bill.
So?
We're working overtime. Supposed to pick up a load of furs from refrigerator car 6220. You know where it is?
Sure. It's right down the yard a bit. I'll hop on the running board and direct you.
Thanks.
All right, just go straight ahead. I'll tell you when to turn. All right, slow down. Slow down. Turn right across the tracks ahead. All right, there she is. 6220. You can back right up to the doors.
Thanks, Pop.
It's a sealed car, you know.
We'll get it open all right, Pop. Like this. All right, come on, Bugs. Roll them over in the shadow. I'll break the seal and we'll start unloading.
Oh, you got nerve, Joe. Just walking right in.
It's the only way to pull a job. Make them think it's legitimate, and you'll even get the mayor to help load the truck. Anybody else shows up, we're just working overtime. Catch?
Catch.
Now, let's get started. We got a lot of overtime to put in. $100,000 worth.
Dave. Enlargements of the pictures Eddie took yesterday. Those cameras do a wonderful job.
Yes, Peters. And Eddie's no expert. But still, these photographs show every detail.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anybody can work these cameras.
There are 32 photographs. We've identified 24 of the men as supposedly legitimate fur dealers.
Well, we'll investigate and put agents on them. Tell the agents to stand by for a pickup order.
Right, Chief.
A couple of more days of Eddie's camera work, and we'll be ready to round up everyone who's had dealings with this mob.
Give me a news, kid.
Oh, sure, mister. Here.
$50. I'll take change from the...
Oh, no, don't.
I'm sorry, kid. I thought that was your change box. It's a nice camera.
Yeah. My hobby. Here you are, mister. 47 cents.
Thanks. So long, kid.
Another guy. Got it. Now this guy.
You take a lot of pictures, kid.
Huh?
I've been watching you for the past 10 minutes. What's the idea?
What do you mean?
Taking pictures of everyone who goes into the fur company.
Who says I do?
Don't get wise, kid.
I told you this camera's my hobby.
Take it easy, kid, or I'll break it. Go on, get going. You got some talking to do.
No, Lloyd, this coat doesn't seem to do anything for my figure.
But, Mrs. Vanderpool, why tamper with perfection? And that, in a word, is your figure.
Now, Lloyd.
I mean it.
I could show you several other fur coats we have in the salon, but this coat is simply stunning. You set it off beautifully.
You really think so?
Mrs. Vanderpool, I know women. I know furs. I know beauty. At the moment, you are the highest form of all three.
It's so wonderful to deal with you, Lloyd. You understand me. The real me. Now, my husband doesn't...
Oh, pardon me, Mrs. Vanderpool. I'll return in a moment.
Of course.
Lloyd of Park Avenue speaking. Oh. What? I see you. All right. I'll be right over.
Now, Lloyd...
Mrs. Vanderpool, if you'll excuse me, one of the girls will take care of you.
Girls?
I'm so sorry. Urgent business.
Oh.
But I'll see you soon, perhaps for lunch sometime.
Oh, lunch. That would be splendid.
I sure it would. Till then, Mrs. Vanderpool, au revoir.
Harding speaking.
This is Saunders reporting from the subway booth, Mr. Harding.
Oh, yes, Saunders?
The newsboy's gone.
What?
Yes, Mr. Harding. I was delayed on my half-an-hour check. People want to change. It's been 45 minutes since I last saw the boy.
45 minutes. Saunders, I told you...
Well, Mr. Harding,
Look, never mind. Stay there on duty. Peter, did you get that about Eddie Sloan?
Yes, Dave.
Alert the rating squad. We've got to move in on that fur company right away. Before, it was a question of chiseling crooks and tax evaders, but now it's a boy's life. I wouldn't risk that for all the crooks in creation. Get the squad moving, fast.
Buck, you stay out here with Adele.
Okay,
The kid's in the next room, Mr. Lloyd.
All right, Joseph. And Bugs, don't think. Please don't ever think again.
Well, I thought you'd want to know. That's why I brought the kid over.
Please close your moronic mouth or I'll close it for you. Come on, Joseph.
Hey, what you got there, Pete? I got a newsstand to take care of.
This is the little beast, eh, Joseph?
Yeah.
Who are you?
I'll ask the questions. Why were you taking pictures of this establishment?
It's a hobby.
Don't be insolent, you little brat.
Can't talk to me like that.
I'll do much worse if you don't answer my questions promptly and truthfully.
I know what you're all excited about. Guy takes pictures and you think it was robbing a bank.
Any particular reason for that reference to robbery?
What?
Listen, you little devil. Obviously, someone put you up to taking pictures. I wish to know who.
I told you, it's my own hobby.
Joseph, grab that brat's shoulders.
Okay, Mr. Lloyd.
Hey, cut it out.
Turn him over that chair. See if a little caning will loosen his tongue.
Let me go.
All right, you little beast. You ready to tell me who put you up to this?
I wouldn't tell you the time of day.
Very well. Joseph, we'll just...
No! Mr. Lloyd!
What's that?
Adele, I don't...
All right, you two. Stand where you are.
Mr. Harding.
Harding.
Counterspies. Now we know the answer.
Yes, Lloyd, we've been on your trail for a long time.
And I got lots of pictures, Mr. Harding. About 20 guys went in this morning.
Good, Eddie. When we confront them with that evidence, I'm sure they'll all be willing to talk about their dealings with Mr. Lloyd.
I won't be here to listen, Mr. Harding.
What?
This cane pointing at the boy's throat is a concealed gun.
Why, you
Now
would-
move, Mr. Harding, and I'll blow this urchin's dirty little throat apart. Joseph, relieve Mr. Harding of his gun.
Okay, Mr. Harding. Thanks.
Now, Mr. Harding, you'll do as I say, or I'll slaughter the brat with the greatest of pleasure. That's better.
Mr. Harding.
Yes, silence, you little beast.
Now what, Lloyd?
Start walking. In front of me. That's right. Through that door.
Duck, Eddie. Let go of this cane. Watch it, Peter.
I'll kill both of you.
No, you don't, Joe. I'll take back my gun.
Let go of my cane.
Not this time, Lloyd.
Close. Nice work, Peters. You got Lloyd.
Couldn't shoot before. They might have gotten Eddie. Stood by the door and grabbed the cane gun when he came out.
I'm one guy who's glad you did.
And so am I, Peters. Come on, Eddie, let's go. We'll take Joe and Adele along. And don't forget that camera, Eddie. Those pictures are going to help increase our prison population.
Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen on Thursday for the exciting Counterspy case of the international intrigue.
A case involving such elements as a hidden chateau in the mountains, an X-ray picture of special teeth, and a scientist who died and came to life. Your Counterspies will never forget this attempt on one of our most precious security secrets. Be sure to be listening Thursday, day after tomorrow, for
Case of the International Intrigue on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Leonard L. Bass, dramatized by Palmer Thompson, and featured Don MacLaughlin and Mandel-Kramer, with music by Jesse Crawford. Bob Shepard speaking. Counterspy is a Phillips H. Lord production for Pepsi-Cola. Enjoy some Pepsi ice cold tonight.
October 18th, 1949, Counterspy on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit our webpage, classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting. You can contact me there. You can find a listing of sites where our programs are available by download. You can also find our social media links. And if you like what we do here, you can buy me a coffee. All the Buy Me a Coffee money is going straight to helping us acquire additional classic radio collections for us to bring you here. So if you want to do that, you can toss me $5 if you have it, or you can toss more. It depends on your commitment to what we do. That's at classicradio.stream. Also, thank this station and support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be with you each and every time you roll around here on your favorite station. Have yourself a great day, won't you please? Enjoy your Tuesday, and tell all your friends that great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.